welcome to the afternoon session of Live Impact News. I'm Janet Roach. I'm in for Connor Reel on this beautiful Thursday afternoon. What a nice day after all that kind of rainy weather we had over the weekend and throughout this week. So this is a nice break. Of course, we need the rain because we have been experiencing some drought conditions, but it's nice to see the sun. Hunter Forrest is with us right now, our meteorologist extraordinaire.
Thank you, Janet.
All right, how are you? Tell me about this weather because those storms. I was telling Craig earlier as I was driving home yesterday, I saw the big lightning bolts. It was pouring, then it would stop, then it would, because I have quite a long ride home, so I kind of went through everything.
Yeah, we saw multiple rounds of some very, very heavy rain. We had a flash flood warning in parts of the south side yesterday. But it was much needed. We picked up over an inch of rain at Norfolk International Airport, 1.43 inches. So now, for the month of May, we've picked up over 4 inches of rain, which is actually above average for the month.
Oh, wow.
So that's great.
Okay.
We're still in a deficit for the year, but at least we're kind of trending in a better direction than where we were in April, where we only picked up 1 inch of rain for the entire month. So things are looking better towards the end of May, and we do have a most recently updated drought monitor. This is from last week, and you'll notice the extreme drought in parts of the northern neck, the eastern shore, a lot of us here in a severe drought, the peninsula in parts of an extreme drought. But as we take a look at this week, it is looking a bit better. The extreme drought is gone. It looks a little bit better around the Admiral Sound. The severe drought in parts of Williamsburg and Richmond is now a moderate drought. Still have the extreme drought for parts of the eastern shore, for pretty much the entire eastern shore. But extreme drought gone a bit. So we have trended in the right direction within the last week, and yesterday's rain wasn't even included in this most recent update.
Right, that's what Craig was saying. So next week it should be even better.
It should,
even if we don't get some rain over the next week.
Yeah,
right?
I would say it shouldn't look worse. Yeah, so I would say there should be an improvement, or at least looking similar to what it is this week. So definitely some great news there. But today, tomorrow, through the weekend, not expecting much in the way of rainfall. Today's a beautiful afternoon. Blue skies under Thompson Creek Window Company Sky View. A great afternoon for a walk.
Oh.
We were just talking about, Janet and I.
Wanting to go outside.
Going outside for a nice stroll. Temperatures are comfortable in the upper 70s to low 80s. So it's feeling good. Still about 1 to 5 degrees cooler than this time yesterday. 78 in Norfolk, 77 in Virginia Beach, 81 in Hampton, 81 in Newport News, it's 82 in Suffolk, 83 in Elizabeth City, and 81 degrees down in Chesapeake. So over the next couple of hours, we should all be getting into the lower 80s, plenty of sunshine, and if you have any evening plans tonight, it's going to be looking marvelous. Thursday night pickle, tennis.
Maybe an outdoor cafe.
Outdoor cafe?
Yeah.
Now we're talking.
Yeah.
That sounds lovely. Satellite and radar is looking good. We were seeing a few light sprinkles earlier this morning around the eastern shore. But other than that, it's been a great day so far. And it'll continue to stay sunny as we get into this afternoon and evening, dropping into the mid to lower 70s. It's going to be a lovely night for an outdoor cafe, Janet.
Okay. I'm going to have to find one and take myself up on my offer.
Exactly. But if you can't do it tonight, you have a good stretch of some nice weather where you could do that. Heading into tomorrow morning, it's definitely going to be a cooler start to the day compared to this morning. We started out in the upper 60s to low 70s pretty much around the region, but tomorrow morning, upper 50s to low 60s. A little bit warmer closer to the coast, but you'll definitely feel a little bit cooler stepping out the door for your Friday. But temperatures should get into the upper 70s, a few of us reaching right around 80 degrees for a high on Friday. So maybe a degree or two below where we should be for this time of year.
Okay, that's all right.
Yeah, our average high is right around 80, and we'll be fairly close to that And if you have any Friday night plans, not looking bad. Upper 60s to low 70s, clear skies, and the nice conditions stick around heading into the weekend. So waking up Saturday, morning stroll, get a nice coffee, going to the cafe, coffee shop, croissant perhaps.
Yeah, let's add a croissant.
Let's add a croissant.
Yeah, add that in.
Upper 60s to low 70s to start out the morning. And by the afternoon, we should get into the upper 70s, pushing 80 degrees, mostly sunny, pretty seasonable for this time of year. And then it'll get a little bit cooler on Sunday, mid-70s though. So, I mean, comfortable, beautiful.
That is comfortable.
Yeah.
That's going to be a lovely week.
Not going to be too hot, not going to be too cold. Like Goldilocks says, just right.
With the porridge, is that what they?
With the porridge, exactly. But maybe you're doing a little bit of traveling this weekend. If you're going to D.C., Richmond, Charlottesville, the Outer Banks, beautiful, no matter where you're going around the region. Mid to upper 70s on Saturday, mid 70s on Sunday. A little bit cooler in the Outer Banks on Sunday, around 67 degrees, but I mean, that's looking marvelous compared to the weather we've been seeing over the last week or so. So that's nice. We'll have a really great weekend ahead. Yesterday, dew points were, did you guys notice like how muggy it was yesterday?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
It was brutal.
Yeah, the humidity is coming on in. We know that's coming for the summer.
Yeah, it certainly is. But luckily, the next couple of days should be feeling much more comfortable compared to yesterday. I mean, dew points were in the low 70s. It's like you just step outside and you automatically feel it.
It was even, you can even feel the humidity inside.
Yeah.
Sometimes when it gets real humid like that, you can kind of feel it in the inside air
Certainly,
as well.
Yeah. But luckily, I would say tonight we can give our ACs a little bit of a break.
Okay. Did you have your AC on last night?
Of course.
You did?
I'm a big AC.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You like it really cool.
I do.
Okay.
I think tonight I'm not going to keep it. I don't know. I did turn it up this morning. We'll see what I do. We'll see. But it's going to be much more comfortable tonight, mid to low 60s. A few mid to upper 50s inland, but dew points tomorrow through the weekend in the 50s. So it's going to be feeling much better compared to what we were feeling yesterday. Those dew points were in the lower 70s. That's when it gets excessive. 50s when it feels much more comfortable. And rain chances also low today, tomorrow, through the weekend, and even pretty much into next week. Monday, we could see a few isolated showers, but overall, a bit of a pattern shift compared to what we were seeing over the last week or so. But again, today, plenty of sunshine. 82 in Norfolk, 81 in Virginia Beach, 84 in Windsor, 85 in Franklin today, 76 in Cape Charles, 83 in Gloucester, 82 in Hampton, 85 in Newport News, 85 in Ahoskie, 84 in Elizabeth City, 78 in Manio today. And tonight, again, you'll notice those cooler temperatures, especially inland. 55 in Boykins. That's kind of like open the window type weather, you think?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I do have the windows open already.
Yeah, 60 in Smithfield tonight, 64 in Norfolk, 62 in Virginia Beach, 58 in Suffolk, mid to upper 50s to low 60s along the eastern shore, 62 in Poquoson tonight, 59 over Newport News, 58 in Gloucester, and pretty much same deal, eastern North Carolina, mid to upper 50s, mid 60s along the coast, 64 in Manio, 60 in Edenton tonight, and 58 in Windsor. And another look at our Friday.
Okay, hour by hour.
Beautiful.
Oh, that's going to be very nice.
Sunshine from start to finish.
Oh.
Upper 70s.
Wish we could copy and paste that for the entire summer.
I know. I wish I could, Janet. I would pay big bucks for that.
Yeah.
But overall, though, this whole week, looking pretty good. Low end rain chances. Temperatures in the upper 70s to low 80s. We're not seeing anything extreme. No hundreds.
No.
Feels like temperatures 105.
No 90s either.
No, yeah, not even
85.
Not even 85.
Right.
So it's going to be a pretty typical start to June. 80 degrees, Can you believe June 1st is on Monday?
No, I cannot.
Me either.
And that is the first day of hurricane season.
Yes, it is.
And, I was mentioning to Craig, sometimes we see those, storms already brewing in May. They don't really amount to a whole lot, but we do know that they're out there. So far, it's been all quiet.
So far, it's quiet. Not expecting any development over the next week or so. There have been models showing something, but it's called the GFS-icane pretty much.
Yeah.
So did Craig mention that earlier?
No.
It's kind of like the GFS is one of the models we use, and it'll always throw out like a hurricane.
A little too aggressive.
A little too
maybe.
aggressively,
Yeah.
a little too early. But no other models show that at all. And it's just something that meteorologists and people know that you call it a GFS-icane because it's really very unlikely that's going to happen.
Okay.
So those are one of the things you have to watch out for, especially on social media, because people will take that one model run and be like, major hurricane coming.
Right.
When no other models are saying that, or even remotely close.
And what you need to do is listen to our team of meteorologists, okay, to find out the truth. Always.
And the thing is, the good news is we are looking good for right now. Nothing to worry about.
Right.
We still have a couple of days till June 1st.
Yeah, we have a ways to go before peak.
Yes.
Peak hurricane. What's that? August, September?
September
Yeah.
10th-ish.
I always tell people, don't plan a wedding. Don't plan your wedding in August or September.
That's good advice, Gina.
Yeah, you don't do it. And we can kind of feel, you look at this week coming up and it looks so nice and you're thinking, oh, I'm going to get out and do this, that, and the other. And you don't have to feel as guilty because we just had all of this rain.
Right.
So you know that the drought conditions have gotten a lot better,
Right.
because you worry about the farmers and the people who really rely on this rain. And so, this week looks good. Go ahead and enjoy it.
Absolutely. I mean, kind of picture perfect almost. And like you were saying, you don't have to feel guilty at all. We've had a great May, over 4 inches of rain for the entire month, above average. Compare that to the 1 inch we got in the entire month of April.
Yeah, so it's gotten better.
And we should see over 3 inches in April. So we're slowly, getting back to where we should be, still about 3 inches below for the year. But compare that to 5 inches just last week.
Right.
So we're making moves.
We're making moves in the right direction. Now I'm loving that forecast. I'm gonna have to figure out how to. I've been inside all day today, doing working. So I've got to figure out how to enjoy some of that over the next several days. I'll figure it out.
Windows down, driving home at least.
At least. At least. A lot different than from yesterday.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Okay, Hunter. Thank you.
Thank you, Janet. It's
All
always a
right.
pleasure with you guys.
Yep, thanks. So, Naya, I'm thinking we're going to go straight into checking out this UN Security Council, if that's okay with you. Oh, I have to toss the break. It's not okay with Naya. She said toss the break. All right, we'll be right back. right, welcome back to Live Impact News on this Thursday, May 28th. We want to dip back into the UN Security Council meeting. They have been meeting since this morning. I want to take you there live. The UN Security Council talking about the maintenance of international peace and security. So let's take a listen.
Was enshrined in the UN Charter, and it also reflects an opportunity that we have to voice our support for these principles. 80 years since the adoption of the Charter, we should recognize that this document was born from the generation that had experienced the horrors of the Second World War. It was a shared vision based on respect for state sovereignty, for the peaceful settlement of disputes and cooperation between nations. For the Dominican Republic, these principles remain fully valid, and they remain critical to ensure fairer, more stable and more predictable international relations, particularly for smaller member states whose security and development depend on full respect for international law and multilateralism. President, the current international context presents significant challenges for the multilateral system. We are concerned to see the persistence of armed conflicts, the increase in geopolitical tensions, international polarization, and the increasing mistrust between states, as we're also seeing complex global threats, including food insecurity, climate change, the humanitarian crises, and the economic impact as a result of conflicts that require collective coordinated responses. We therefore believe it is critical to preserve and strengthen the international system based on the United Nations at its heart. Defending the UN Charter is not just a legal or political responsibility, it is also a moral commitment to current and future generations. We must preserve the achievements since the Second World War, and we must continue to work together to avoid any kind of regression that would threaten international peace and security. We also call on all member states to renew their commitments to multilateralism, to international cooperation and mutual respect. The current challenges cannot be addressed from isolation or confrontation. Only by working together and showing solidarity and opting for dialogue can we make headway and build sustainable solutions and ensure that we have a more peaceful, fairer international order. President, my delegation reiterates its firm support for the United Nations and the central role of the UN in global governance. We also reiterate our availability to continue contributing actively to international efforts geared towards upholding peace, sustainable development, respect for international law, and cooperation between nations. Thank you.
I thank the representative of the Dominican Republic for the statement, and I'll give the floor to the representative of Fiji.
Mr. President, Fiji congratulates the People's Republic of China on its presidency of the Security Council and thanks the Secretary General and all briefers for their important contributions. Mr. President, the United Nations was born from the ruins of a catastrophic war and the solemn resolve of nations, large and small, never to repeat the devastation. For small island states like Fiji, the Charter is not merely aspirational, it is our shield. It is the guarantee that our voice carries weight in international affairs, not because of the size of our economy or the reach of our military, but because we are equal members of the institution under the rule of law. We are gathered at a moment of profound stress upon that system. Fiji's position is principled and consistent. The UN Charter applies universally and without exception. Article 2(4) is not a variable standard. Unilateral actions that contravene the Charter, wherever they occur, weaken the system that protects us all, and most acutely those with the least power to defend themselves. Mr. President, it is against this global backdrop that the Pacific region's contribution to the Charter's purposes and the principles deserve to be heard in this chamber. The Pacific leaders have unanimously adopted the Ocean of Peace Declaration, championed by my Prime Minister Rambuka of Fiji. This is a solemn affirmation that the Pacific Ocean, the largest on Earth, covering 1/3 of the planet's surface, shall be a space of peace, cooperation, environmental stewardship, and the rule of law. This declaration rests on principles that mirror the very foundations of the Charter: the peaceful resolution of disputes, respect for sovereignty, and the sovereign rights under UNCLOS, the rejection of militarization and coercive conduct in shared maritime spaces, and the centrality of multilateral cooperation. It is precisely the kind of regional arrangement envisioned under Chapter 8 of the Charter. Nations with shared geography and shared stakes in stability, building peace from the ground up. We call upon the Security Council to formally recognize and support this initiative. A peaceful Pacific Ocean is not a parochial interest. It is the global strategic asset. When Pacific leaders declare it an ocean of peace, they are performing an act of genuine multilateral service, offering a framework for the peaceful management of what could otherwise become a theater of dangerous strategic competition. Mr. President, as we mark the United Nations 80th anniversary, the UN 80 reform process offers a genuine opportunity to better honor the Charter's promise. Fiji supports reform that make this Council more representative, transparent, and accountable, that strengthen the General Assembly's role, and that ensure that voices of the world's most vulnerable are heard in the decisions that determine their futures. Fiji reaffirms its unconditional commitment to this institution and to the Charter upon which it is founded. The strength of the United Nations lies not in the size of its member states, but in the sincerity of their commitment to its principles. Fiji brings that sincerity, forged through decades of peacekeeping service, and asks in return only that the system we serve continue to stand for something worth serving. I thank you, Mr. President.
感谢斐济。
I thank the representative of Fiji for the statement. There are no more names inscribed on the list of speakers. The meeting is adjourned.
The meeting Security Council is adjourned, and we've been hearing a lot of the same thing from representatives from the different countries around the world, calling for global cooperation, respect for international law, many expressing concern that the principles of what the UN Security Council stands for have been diminished. Its primary purpose, maintaining international peace, maintaining security, and investigating claims that threaten those very principles that threaten security and peace. All right, so that's an issue, and of course we'll be following and waiting for the next meeting of the Security Council that will probably bring you on Live Impact News. Let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back. All right, welcome back to Live Impact News. And we're going to take a moment to talk a little bit about the economy. That is certainly something that just about every American is thinking about, the economy and the state that the economy is in right now. Some new numbers came out this morning. First of all, when it comes to U.S. economic growth, apparently, it was not as strong initially in the first quarter as we thought. It was revised down from 2% growth to 1.6. Some other economic numbers, jobless claims in the state of Virginia went up 8.8% this week. Those numbers came out. And then yesterday, the economic forecast from the Weldon Cooper Center for Public Service, this is out of UVA, their forecast for the state of Virginia, not very good. Basically, they said that Virginia's labor market was a lot weaker in 2025 than previously reported, and they're expecting that just in the state of Virginia, 17,000 jobs will be lost this year. So we brought in the expert, Peter Shaw, TCC professor emeritus, business professor in economics, to talk more about what this all means, where we might be going, and what can we do about it. Thank you so much.
Glad to be here.
It's always good to see you.
Okay,
Enjoy
nice pleasure.
talking to you. Yeah, I just ran down some of these numbers, and they're not good. And especially, Virginia, because I even talked to another economist who was telling me about the numbers in Virginia. And then to hear 17,000 jobs could be lost this year, you think about everything that was lost last year with Doge cuts. What's happening in the state of Virginia?
Well, I guess the biggest contributor is the big decline in federal jobs. I think there's going to be another 4,000 jobs lost this year in that area. And then, of course, has a rippling effect, okay, because as you cut back on those federal jobs in those areas of the government, any contractors doing business there is probably going to lose their contract, which means they may have to lay off more people on their side of the street. So it's not pleasant, and it's the economy is going to be basically flat. The unemployment rate will grow, as I think the UVA, you mentioned earlier, the UVA forecast is saying over 4%, 4.3%, 4.7%. I mean, to give you an idea, back in 2024, the state's unemployment rate was 2.9%. Now it's projected to be at 4.7.
Wow.
That's almost 2 full percentage points. I mean, that's quite a bit. And a lot of where the question becomes, well, what's the contribution? What's causing it? And my observation has been basically two things. The federal cutbacks is part of it.
Right.
AI is the other part. I mean, it's having a major impact. Oracle has laid off 30,000 people. I mean, these people received an email one morning, said, by the end of the day, you're gone.
Wow.
Imagine that. And it's global. I mean, it was a global hit. And there are others, too, other major technology companies that are doing the same thing. So AI is having a major influence along with the federal government.
Yeah. Wow. And then overall, I mentioned the GDP being revised down, and the Iran war has to be playing a big part in this. We know what's happening with gas prices. How does that fit into what was already kind of a shaky picture developing economically?
Yeah, I mean, when you raise oil prices 40-50% on a barrel, you can see the impact, about 40% at the pump. But it not only affects the pump, it also affects any other goods that you want to go buy that has to be transported to market. For example, agricultural farm food, the cost to transport that to market is expensive. And so fertilizer also has gone through the roof as we import quite a bit of it. So you're seeing the consumers being reminded every week when they go to fill it with gas, when they go to the grocery store, and of course if they go buy goods elsewhere, the prices are noticeable, in some cases very staggering. My wife was complaining, she came back to the grocery store yesterday and she buys a big container of avocado oil because she likes to use it to cook in her cooking. And she said, I can't believe it. I said, what's the matter? This used to be $12 a bottle, now it's 20.
Oh my goodness.
You know, that's more than 50% increase. And of course, most, like 75%, 80% of avocados are coming from Mexico. What a lot of Americans don't know, by the way, is in 2024, 70% of all tomatoes that were purchased here in the United States were from Mexico. So, you know, a lot of these are being hit with the tariffs,
Right.
and that's still having a havoc still, and it's still a spillover.
Yeah.
The auto industry is taking huge hits. I was reading a couple days ago where in Subaru sales, they have a brand new 2026 Outback touring vehicle. It's redesigned. Matter of fact, bought one for my wife because she loved it so much. But I saw where the sales from January to April down 20% from the previous year. Part of that is tariff increases that
Right.
they had to deal with, and you know, some of these other factors. But it's the consumer is being hit on multiple fronts.
Right. Right. Yeah.
I mean, no matter where the consumer turns, wham. The other thing that a couple months ago, I think it was Professor Bob McNabb.
Yes.
He was, I think, here being interviewed at Channel 13. He mentioned the fact that, according to his research, that the top 30% wealthiest households are accounting for 70% of the consumer spending.
Yes. We were just talking about that yesterday. How
Yeah.
that's what's holding up the economy
You
right now.
bet. Now, and that means 70% of the households are only spending 30% of the consumer spending. They are carrying the load, but now what you have is a situation where there's a concentration of households that are carrying the economy. If these guys slow down just the slightest bit, we're going to feel it real fast.
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting because that also gives us the impression that the economy might be doing a little bit better than what it is, because you just have these people at the top that are kind of being a buoy for the economy. Meanwhile, you know, people in the lower, you know, social economic status are really, really suffering.
Oh, yeah. And the classic example I tell some of my friends, if you get someone making $100,000 a year and they get a 5% raise, that's before taxes. After you take all the taxes and everything else they take out, you're going to walk away about a 3% raise net. So 3% of 100,000 means they got an extra $3,000 take home. The person making 200,000 is going to get a 5% raise, roughly 3% take home. They're going to take home $6,000.
Right.
So you can see that's why the upper crust homes are, even if they get the same raise rate, their take-home pays are much greater. So
Of
they're the
course,
ones.
that 3,000, 6,000 get wiped out pretty quickly with gas prices.
Oh, you're not kidding. You're not kidding.
Yeah. The economic outlook for graduates. We were just talking in our earlier session, graduation season, and it's got to be hitting them pretty hard. My understanding is that they are not finding the jobs that some of their predecessors or, you know, earlier classes are able to find. What is your advice, you know, to a college student? I mean, do you just take whatever you can find, or?
Well, first of all, you have to develop the right mindset. And the mindset is you have to become a knowledge worker.
Okay.
Meaning that you realize that what you have learned in college is not the end-all be-all. You're going to be constantly learning, constantly evolving your work skills. I remember reading 10 years ago where someone wrote in one of the forecasting books that 10 years from now, 60% of the jobs that will exist have yet to be invented.
That's kind of scary. You got to try to be
You
able to
gotta
think
evolve.
ahead. You got to evolve.
You gotta evolve, man.
Yeah.
And there's no getting around it. I mean, that's just the way it is. I mean, ask the people who are in technology getting laid off. They thought they were set.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And that didn't work. It didn't work. So it's you've got to develop. You've got to be a knowledge worker. You're constantly evolving your skills. Do not rest on your laurels. Pay close attention to, if you're working for some company, pay close attention to the direction of where the company is going. It usually gives you a good hint what things you got to be paying attention to, along with the fact that pay attention to what your competitors are doing, what direction they're going, and seeing what additional career skills these people need to stay on that path with those companies. You have to.
And should people be afraid of AI? I mean, obviously AI is taking some jobs, but as one person put it, it's the people who learn how to operate AI, who learn the most about AI, that will be in a much safer place than people who are kind of like shying away from it.
Yeah, the thing about AI is it's here. I mean, there's no walking around it. So if it's here, you got to pay close attention to, if AI is heavily involved in my company, what are they using it for? Okay, and if it's going to be replacing some human beings, are you going to be one of them? If you think that's going to be the case, what skill levels can you evolve into that would make you still a valuable asset to the company? Because you got to remember, a company is paying you for your skills. Never forget that. They are paying you for your skills. So you have to keep those skills updated to their needs and competing in the marketplace.
Right.
So I always tell students that, and they look at me sort of shocked when I say that.
Oh, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you got to remember, they're paying you for what you have. And those skill sets have to be constantly evolving. I mean, even the guys at the top now have learned AI is affecting them. You know,
Right.
And so you're going to see a lot of middle and upper level management being thinned out in some cases, along with some other repetitive task areas. So it's, I had to chuckle, I think it was about 3, 4, 5 months ago, and it might have been your station, I saw where a gentleman, it was a piece on breast cancer and examinations and stuff. And the doctor who is actually, he analyzes all the test results, and he was saying, he said, yeah, you know, it used to take, he says, I can now, with AI, analyze the patient's condition in 50% less time.
Isn't that amazing? Yeah.
And my first reaction was, okay, buddy, now that you've broadcast that in front of your bosses, guess what they're going to do to your workload?
Right, right.
They're going to double it, you know, because they know you can do it faster.
Yeah, be careful. You know, on the other side of the coin, we're hearing, I'm also getting, you know, reports about some of the manufacturing jobs, skilled workers, that they're struggling to find people. They're struggling to, and that's one of the issues that I'm hearing coming out of the shipyard, because there are some very, very serious delays with the work that needs to be done in building these ships. I think the Nimitz class and the Ford class in particular is very, very behind, and they don't have the workers. And I guess young people are saying, you know, we were so caught up in STEM and computer and IT. And that's where, because I know as my kids being in their early 20s, when they were in school, that's where everyone was steering them in that direction.
Oh, yeah.
IT, computer. And now, not so much, coding. And so that generation kind of has abandoned the trades, the welding, the electrician. Do you hear that, or?
Oh, there's no question. You hear that a lot. And you know, I was reading, let's see, I retired in June 1st of 2022, and just before I retired, I was asked to address the graduating nursing class about, and of course they wanted to hear from a business professor what's going on in the healthcare. And I was telling them, I said, the advent of the exponential growth technology is going to change the focus of healthcare. Right now, the focus is health care. You go somewhere to get some health care, hospital, doctor, clinic, wherever. They want to change the focus to save money on the hospital side to have the health, you doing more of your own health care. Meaning, like, for example, say I had a smartwatch that would monitor all of my vitals in my body 24/7. So I get up in the morning, I walk over to a high-tech mirror, and it prints out all the data, what's going on. If there's anything that could be of serious concern, it could automatically alert my doctor's office. Or if it's serious, real serious, they could contact the ambulance services and say, come get the guy. You know.
And that's coming. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's all coming. And I always tell people, listen, in this area, they're in the process of still building that mega bandwidth backbone. When that goes in, we will be a prime candidate for that kind of community.
Okay.
I think we'll be a prime candidate. So, yeah, that's all changing. Now, on the manufacturing point that you started with, to get to that focus, I always turn to the simple example of in 1978, the auto industry had 1.5 million auto workers.
Okay.
Today, 150,000.
Wow.
That's a 90% drop.
Remember the old Ford plant not too far from here?
Yeah. And so I tell people, we were given warnings a long time ago, and everybody ignored them. But you better, and I said, you better pay attention because it's going to accelerate. Now, the people that do become more knowledge-based workers, they're going to do very well, and they're going to be paid very well. But even they know, whatever job they move into, that's not enough. They're going to have to keep evolving their skills. And that's the way it's going to be.
You make me think about when you talk about what we could really excel at here. I remember years ago we were doing these stories, Finding Our Future, and it was about trying to figure out what is Hampton Roads, how is Hampton Roads trying to set itself apart? How is it going to grow and become a leader in whether it's cybersecurity, whether it's something dealing with healthcare? And it was kind of hard, to figure out what that's going to be. So if you are a mayor or a city planner or a city manager or someone who's even thinking about getting into that field, how do you push this area or push your city to think ahead in terms of 10 years from now, what can we really be successful at?
Yeah, the Hampton Roads Alliance came out with a first ever, they call it Economic Development Playbook. Came out this past year. And they're focusing on that very same question. And they're working on it, and they're looking at how do we keep an eye on the ball where it's going, and how do we really set ourselves aside from our competitors. And for the first time I've ever seen such a plan, and they're working on it. But a lot of it, for the most part, is focusing on the big tourism, the ports, and the military, and so forth. And they're doubling down in those areas because they know there's a lot of technology. I mean, the military is going into technology big time. They're not slowing down. And the ports are using technology to try to figure out how we can move containers faster and more efficiently than ever. We now have, I think, the second largest port on the East Coast behind New York. But you can't rest on your laurels. You got to stay in the game. So it's going to be interesting, that piece too. But you have to, I think, from the local leadership, now that they have a plan that they can work with, they must stay religious at getting that plan to work. And then, as the old saying goes, it's not a good plan if you can't change it.
That's true.
If it needs to be changed. But this is the first time I've ever seen. And Doug Smith and his staff over there, I've been working with Bruce Katz, the consultant, to put that thing together. And I think that's a major step for this locality. I wish we'd have had it 20 years ago. I really do. But, at least we're started. And we got to keep going. We are seeing very quickly that with the advent of technology, you must, it used to be economic development was land, labor, a few other items. Now it's land, labor, other items, and technology. So that mega bandwidth backbone that they're building, I hope they get it built as quickly as possible. That is going to be a big player.
And you have to be ready to adjust.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And because nowadays, what you were doing last year becomes obsolete very quickly.
I mean, software gets obsolete pretty fast these days.
Yeah. So, because I just think this area has so much potential and
Oh,
different ways to find that thing where it is the leader in not only the country but in the world, with all the military minds and the technology that's here.
One of the beautiful parts, by the way, is our port, because of the way it's located on the East Coast, within about 750 miles. I mean, we can handle 55%. We can touch 55% of the population. I mean, that's a pretty significant event. But you're right. I mean, there are other factors too we got to beef up.
Yeah.
We got to beef it up.
Absolutely. You are always so great at giving advice for, people as they're trying to handle their money. I'm just, looking at some more of these figures. As Virginia now expected to lose 17,800 jobs. And that's additional from what was projected was 7,500. So that's gone up. The February forecast projected a 0.2% decline in employment. And so for people who are thinking, I'm trying to save, I don't know what to do, there's the stock market is doing well, what do I do? And I like the way you always say that people need to separate those needs and those wants. That's not always easy, Naya. those wants, they start knocking on your door and saying, pick me.
I'm lucky. I'm married to a woman who's very frugal. I'm lucky.
Yeah.
But one of the biggest things I have been paying close attention to in my retirement is I'm paying attention to debt. And in the case of credit card debt nationally, back in, I think it was 2020, it was around $890 billion, okay? Now it's like 1.2 trillion.
Oof.
So the debt has been coming on very radically in the last couple of years. And then I said, well, let me take a look at some of the breakdown in the population of where the debt is. When I look at the Generation Z, the 18 to 28-year-olds, back in 23, they had about $590 billion of debt. Today, it breaks $1 trillion.
Wow, just that generation?
That generation. And then and then I look at the millennials, and this is total debt, not credit card debt, but this is total debt. I'm sorry, it's total debt. And the millennials, they went from $4.9 trillion to $5.8 trillion total debt. Gen X's, again, the millennials are 29 to 44. The Gen Xers are 45 to 60. They went from 6.44 trillion to about 6.7 trillion in that case. They only had a slow growth. The baby boomers, which is my generation, we went from 4.5 trillion we went down to 4.4 trillion.
Okay.
Yeah. Frugal.
Yeah.
And of course, the 80 and above silver generation, they went from 500 billion to roughly 50 billion. 570 billion down to about 490 billion. So they've gone
so they
down
went in the right direction.
Yeah. So what you're seeing is patterns. So I went back and said, okay, those are the numbers. Let's look at the rate of change.
Okay.
The Generation Z, from 23 to 25, their debt, total debt, grew by 37.7%.
Yeah. And they're so young.
Yep. The millennials, 29 to 44, their debt grew from 4.9 trillion to 5.7 trillion, 10.7%. A little slower rate, it's better. Gen X's, 45 to 60, they went from 6.4 trillion to 6.7, 3.5%. Much, as you see the old generations, their debt is growing much slower. The baby boomers, which is my generation, went from 4.58 to 4.4, a negative 1.3%.
Yeah.
We're down. And of course, the 80 and above club in age, the silent generation, they went from 570 billion down to 490 billion, a negative 7.5%.
Okay.
So you're seeing the top two age generations are going down in their debt. It's the younger bottom ones who are really getting the greatest growth rate in debt. That is what alarms me the most. I mean, I preach it to my stepdaughter, and hey, you don't want this.
Yeah, especially that younger generation. They don't even have any money, and they're, and they're. I guess that's why they're in debt, because they're borrowing everything. But you got to have some kind of credit to borrow, so they have to be careful. So where are we going? The war is still going on. The strait is closed, and then we say it's going to open, then it doesn't open, and it stays closed, and then we say it's going to open, and then it doesn't. we don't see any really relief when it comes to the war, but you never know. What do you think we're going to be looking at come the fall and maybe heading into the holidays?
Well, first of all, I think the country is crisis fatigued. I mean, everywhere I look, people are just, walking zombies sometimes. You go into the grocery stores, and I can remember as a kid growing up, on those special shopping days, Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays, full carts everywhere. People filling up. Prices reasonable. Now you go there, you might see 1 in 10 that's full. And what's happening is people are now shopping here first. They're going to the phone, okay, for meats, where do I get the best deal? Vegetables, where? Canned goods, where? And my wife does it all the time. She shops 3 different supermarkets to get the better deals. So the consumer, for survival reasons, has learned it's pretty staggering. Now, here's another number that's pretty staggering. The Experian Auto Group was talking about how auto loan monthly payments have skyrocketed. 5 years ago, only 5% of the auto loans paid $1,000 or more a month. Today, 19%.
Wow.
That is a 288% increase on the number of people who are paying $1,000 or more. And and of those people paying $1,000,
that's rent.
Well, yeah,
That's a mortgage.
And those people who are paying $1,000 a year or more, 74% of them non-luxury vehicles. It's like the pickup trucks, the basic, the Ford 150.
Those pickup trucks are insane.
Oh,
The cost.
the bottom line, Ford 150 is the bottom line, and this is what's causing the problem. In December, they said the average pickup truck price on CNBC was $66,000. I'm like,
I will not.
yeah,
I will not.
it's
Now you don't buy a $60,000 car.
yeah.
No, I'm not. It was crazy when you were saying about the groceries, because I can remember being in college just like 4 years ago, and me and my sister, we lived together, so we would split the cost of groceries. So it'd be like $120. Our cart is filled out. We got tissue, paper towels, all of our necessities, and groceries. Now my cart can be like this much filled up, and that's $100.
Oh, my wife came home yesterday with, I don't know, maybe 6 or 8 those white bags, not very big, and it was over $200.
Yeah, especially the
It's over $200.
meats.
Yeah,
Especially the meat.
and she didn't have any meats, by the way.
Wow.
That was no meats. One of those things was that avocado example I gave you, the avocado oil. That was one of the examples of just skyrocketing prices.
Yeah. It is pretty steep. So yeah, you have to kind of divide and think about your needs versus your wants, and just think about where you can save here and there, and make smart decisions.
Yeah, and I think about the auto industry, and I said, with these kind of prices, I mean, the average people, cost increases in the auto industry is just getting really out of hand, I think, the last 2 years.
It's just out of hand.
And so I'm thinking, so what I'm noticing in my neighborhood, we bought 2 new vehicles, but we saved for 12 years. We put it in an investment fund, and we put it in, and then let the investment work. So we had 10, 12 years built up. So we were able to pay cash for a 2024 Ascent Subaru, and then recently the Outback 26. But I looked at my neighbors all around the neighborhood. Everybody is retaining their vehicles 8, 10, 12, 15 years. They are not going, and they're doing everything they can to extend it. And what I also found out was very interesting is, this you'll really like this story, is my neighbor across the street from me, they both work, and they had to have a repairman come out and fix their oven. And they knew I was retired. My wife's retired. They said, would you mind greeting the guy and letting him in? I said, sure. So the guy pulls up, the oven repair guy. He pulls up in a black Tesla sedan. I'm looking, man, oven repair business must be pretty good.
Yeah.
And I was talking to him. I said, usually I see guys in trucks. He said, well, let me tell you what happened. He says, I usually drive a diesel truck.
Oh.
and I have to fill up twice a week.
Yeah.
$150 a fill up, $300 a week, $1,200 a month, just for diesel fuel. He said it was killing me. So I bought this used Tesla, no fuel to worry about. He says, he said I paid a good price for it. He said I had no choice, and I said, well, where's all your equipment? He opened up the back door because it was tinted glass, and he had these very organized containers, stacked 3 high, 2 across, all of his tools and parts. And he had a lifted trunk, same thing. He had everything he needed. He figured out a way to get it in there.
Wow.
And he said, that's the only way I can afford to stay in business and charge the prices I charge.
Wow, it's amazing.
So you're seeing even the business people.
Yeah.
If I was noticing recently in the restaurants, I can remember a time when the restaurants used to put, a big scoop of vegetables or whatever on your plate. Now they put it in a small chafing dish.
Yeah.
Small, and it's a small amount, and they put it down. And you're going, wow, what happened?
Yeah.
But they're cutting back.
They're cutting back.
Yeah,
Cutting back.
they're cutting back.
Yeah. And so I guess the final question is, this time next year, if you had to predict, are we worse or are we a little bit better or about the same?
I think we'll be marginally better. I agree with the UVA report where they point that, things are going to be tough this year, and then going into 27, it'll have only 27 will have a growth rate of only less than 3%, 0.3%, less than 1% growth in 27. But it will be coming out of heading in the right direction. Our recovery here in Virginia, I think, is going to be slow, especially with the government cutbacks. And you got to remember also, and again, my good friend Dr. McNabb stated on TV that for every every federal job that's lost, it takes basically 2 private sector jobs to match the salary and benefits of that one federal job.
Yeah.
So if you lose one over here, you got to hire 2 more people. You got to employ, put in the economy, and that can take a while.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Sure.
This has been a great talk.
Yeah.
It has motivated me and Naya to watch our money even more so, what little bit we have, and But yeah, we'll certainly have you back.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. And Naya, I know I have to go to break, so we'll be right back. That was great. All right, welcome back to Live Impact News. I hope you learned something with our conversation with Peter Shaw, talking about the economy and a lot of things that we need to think about as we try to wade through some kind of tough challenges in the road ahead in terms of the economic outlook. This just in, we are hearing now that U.S. and Iranian negotiators reached a tentative deal to extend the ceasefire and launch nuclear talks. So they're going to extend this ceasefire for this war that has been going on for 3 months, extend it while they try to discuss the nuclear program and what's next for Iran. As you know, we've heard the president say many, many times that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. Now, Iran did not immediately confirm this deal, and the official noted that President has not signed off on it, but supposedly there is a deal in the works. I can tell you that there is a White House briefing that is supposed to be happening at 2 o'clock. It's 2:04 right now, so they're running late. We will go to that when it starts. For now, let's talk about another big event coming to the United States, and that's the FIFA World Cup. Coming June 11th, at least 11 different cities across the country will host matches. I mean, Philly, D.C., San Francisco, just all over. So this is a big, big security concern, as you might imagine. They held a news conference this morning to talk about some of their security concerns and things that they're putting in place to make sure that everyone is safe. Let's listen in on that.
Operate in unified command posts throughout the event for footprint of real-time coordination and communication. That coordination and communication will allow for resource requests to be met, gaps to be identified to ensure that they are covered, to ensure crisis response plans are being followed and everyone is aware, and that mission lanes for each individual participant, law enforcement agency, are adhered to and stayed on top of. For the events, FBI Atlanta will lead drone ground intercept teams around stadiums and fan fest locations. Temporary flight restrictions will be enforced during the events. Illegal drone operations may result in fines up to $100,000, drone confiscation, potential federal charges. FBI partner agencies will use advanced technologies to detect, track, assess, and potentially disable unauthorized drones. Like I said, we've been preparing for months. We have had several local law enforcement partners trained at our NCUTC facility, which is in Huntsville, Alabama. NCUTC stands for National Counter UAS Training Center. Those teams have been prepared to take down drones with the assistance of FBI marshals, Atlanta Police Department, and CBP, which will be deployed throughout the event. Next, I will have our Assistant Special Agent in Charge, Sean Matthews, who will come and speak to some of our tactical and response teams that will be present and prepared during the event.
Good afternoon. Again, my name is Sean Matthews. I'm Assistant Special Agent in Charge here in the Atlanta office over our Operational Support Branch. Under that branch is a lot of our specialty teams and assets that we'll deploy for FIFA in support of our partners. I want to highlight two of those as our bomb squad operations. FBI Atlanta bomb technicians will work hand in hand with APD and our other partner agencies throughout the FIFA events. Bomb techs will respond to suspicious packages, suspicious vehicles, or any other call-outs necessary in support of the event. The public is encouraged to obviously see something, say something. If you do see something suspicious, please call 911 or call 1-800-CALL-FBI. A second area I would like to highlight is our tactical, SWAT and tactical presence during FIFA. FBI SWAT teams will maintain a high level of visibility around the FIFA events and will be downtown during all matches and fan days. Teams are highly trained and prepared to respond and to deploy at a moment's notice to any type of threat in the city of Atlanta, and their presence is intended to enhance public safety, and residents should not be a cause for alarm. They intentionally will be visible throughout the events. With those two things highlighted, I'll hand it back over to the SAC.
Thank you, Sean. So as our The FBI will have a lead when it comes to the intelligence and threat monitoring, but we are not doing that alone. We are heavily engaged with our partners to ensure that we're monitoring potential threats, which we have been doing so for an extended period of time. We are actively working to identify and disrupt threats before they occur. Currently, there are no known threats to the FIFA games here in the Atlanta area. That being said, we want people to be aware that hoax threats will not be tolerated. They remain a huge concern for large public events. All threats, including those made by phone, text, email, or social media, will be taken seriously. Making threats is a federal crime. The public is encouraged, like Sean said, to report suspicious behavior concerning information to the FBI. Human trafficking during large-scale events is also known as a threat. However, we have human trafficking task forces that will be actively monitoring throughout the summer. Our efforts include identifying traffickers, assisting victims, working with victim advocacy organizations, and just so it's known that we have more than 1,000 human traffickers nationwide, but we are monitoring and ensuring that this will be a safe environment, and we will attempt to engage prior to ensure that threat is mitigated as much as possible. In closing, I want the public to know that this event is our top priority, and ensuring that it is safe and remains that way we are committed to that. FBI Atlanta wants to ensure that this is a successful event for players, fans, residents, and visitors. We want everyone to participate in the event, to know that it will be safe to be in downtown Atlanta for a fan fest and for participation in watching some of the games. The FBI encourages the public to remain vigilant when you are present downtown and report anything that you see that seems out of the ordinary to the FBI. Thank you.
All right, we can take a few questions. We'll make it short, Archer.
Can you talk to us a little about getting more agents from other parts of the country, given that we have so many here, in terms of staffing and where the agents are going to be? Is it going to be just be in the area by Mercedes-Benz, or walk us through the awareness in terms of FBI agents across Georgia?
Yes, so because this is known, obviously, throughout our state, I actually have recently met with our other our other regional offices to let them know that, hey, if there is a crisis, if there is an event, we will rely on the region to actually bring forth resources to assist. But as far as Georgia is concerned, we are pulling from the entire state to support for the event. We have brought folks in town to support, I also additionally met with our entire office yesterday to notify all employees that we will be prepared to ensure that we cover to make the game safe. Wherever there's a gap that presents itself, we will cover down on to ensure that there is safety for the public.
Chase Hall with 11 Alive. As you know, we've seen a lot of hoax threats go around the country. Right here in Atlanta, we just had one at the zoo. What are you guys going to do when those calls come in? Are you guys going to evacuate the whole entire stadium? I should say, if they come in. How do you guys plan on handling that, I guess, posed a hoax to a real threat?
Yeah, so there's standard operation procedures that we will always follow when it comes to hoax threats, but we will take them seriously. We will cover to investigate it, and then we will deploy resources as needed depending on what we find.
But will you guys be, I guess, telling people to leave the stadium if you guys do get one of those threats? Because how do you guys deem it credible versus a hoax?
So naturally, there are ways in which you can determine where the phone call is coming from, where the email is coming from. You track those things, you run them to ground to determine if it is an isolated incident, meaning there is a one threat being reported, or if it has been a barrage of events being reported, or if it's a known number or a known email that's known to us to produce hoax, then we will identify that and let that be known, and that will dictate our response. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. There's a drone flying above.
What role will the FBI play in securing Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport during the World Cup, if any?
Sure. We have a presence at the Jackson Hartsfield International Airport, but I will say that we rely heavily on our partners. We are working with them all to ensure that there's safety. There's an increased presence in every avenue that is related to FIFA, and that, across the board, whether it's FanFest, whether it's the facility where the game is played, Mercedes-Benz, or the airport. So there's an increased presence everywhere, and so we are part of that presence, and we will remain.
So we see the drone in the air now, and you guys talked about having drone migration or being able to attack or deal with drones that are in the area. Can you guys talk about the operation in terms of making sure the skies are safe, what you guys will be doing, what counterintelligence will you be using for drones? Will you put a no-fly zone around the area?
This is a perfect question for me to defer to my supervisor.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Hey.
Aaron Hope.
Yep.
Can everyone hear me? Good afternoon, Aaron Hope. I'm the Supervisory Special Agent for our Crisis Response Squad. And so your question again was, what are we going to do for drone mitigation? So we're working with our partners right now to ensure that we have safe skies. Our biggest priority right now is messaging, making sure that individuals are aware that this is a no drone zone, and we want to ensure that that messaging gets out. Should there be the need for us to interdict a drone, we have the capability to do that. However, right now our primary focus again is just getting messaging out.
People like to fly drones, obviously, for taking pictures and stuff like that, but you're saying nowhere around that area can people fly drones?
That's correct. This is a no. This event is a no drone zone.
Will you guys shoot it down? Will you guys intercept its technology? What does that mean?
That's correct. So we do have technology that we can use to identify drones and then locate operators. And so that's something that we will be doing if we need to, if those circumstances allow.
Hey, the last time you guys had
Michael.
The last time that Atlanta hosted a global event like this was, what, 96, the Olympics. Obviously, we didn't have social media, the internet like it is today. What kind of challenge does social media and the internet play? And tell us how you guys are going to tackle that.
Sure. I would say that there's no challenge. It actually provides us a benefit. It provides us a benefit to reach broader audiences and let the community know that, again, that this is a no drone zone. We want a safe event for everyone to include international visitors. And so by leveraging social media, I think we have a good opportunity to put that message out there.
Okay, I did a bad job asking the question. I meant specifically when it comes to threats. I mean, nowadays, you've got to monitor Reddit, Facebook, and Insta. So how do you guys go about doing that when there's so much activity on social media?
Yeah, I think it's the same answer. It's actually a plus for us, right? So information travels a lot faster today than it did, 30 years ago, right, during the Olympics in Atlanta. So we obviously utilize that information for early notifications and as well as our partners, right? So with the real-time crime centers and real-time information centers, all that social media presence, we find that it reports stuff quicker and provides more information on an early basis that then our folks, both investigators and our intel folks, can work with to either address a concern or get ahead of a concern.
Were there lessons learned from the 1996 Olympics that you guys hope to apply to the World Cup?
I don't think so. I don't have an answer.
Absolutely. Law enforcement has evolved tremendously since 1996, and so we will put forth everything that we have learned and developed through that time. Many of us were not even working in a law enforcement capacity at that time, right? But I will say that our tactics and techniques have definitely evolved, and we will be leveraging those to everyone's benefit, to include the players, participants, and the community at large.
If I could,
It's Larry.
Thank you. When you talk about manpower, do you have like a number of personnel, like hundreds? Are we talking about FBI personnel working the World Cup games, or can you release that information?
So not to release a number per se, but we have enough employees here in Atlanta to be able to cover down on an event of this magnitude. We have brought in some reinforcements, whether that's for some of our tactical teams, or whether that's for supervisors that have specialties in certain areas, particularly maybe like counter UAS, right? So we have brought in some reinforcements, but actually Atlanta is equipped to handle an event of this magnitude.
Can you talk about that chain of command? I mean, we're hearing from obviously agencies, federal, local, state, everything. It seems like every agency has their own instant command center, whether it's APD or the Secret Service, the White House, the FBI. Who's leading, and how does that collaboration then follow?
So that collaboration starts from the top, right? And quite naturally, there's a White House task force that is responsible for FIFA, and everyone is falls under that chain of command. And each entity, obviously, myself being the SAC here, everyone that works for the FBI will fall under me, but we are all collaborating within one structure. And so we will all be in the same room to be on the same sheet of music. And everyone has their own mission that we're going to adhere to ensure we're doing our part to make things safe.
I feel like we're talking a lot about.
We've seen other large-scale events in the past. Thank you. Super Bowl, college national football championships. How is the FIFA World Cup different from a preparation standpoint for the FBI? Different than these other events that Atlanta has seen?
You know what? It's not. The only thing that's different about FIFA is the duration. The duration is something that is unusual, right? 39 days from start to finish of a tournament that is happening and that is having an impact on our city. We have 8 games to cover, one of them being more significant than the rest because it's a semifinal. So that's what's different about it. However, the preparation remains the same, right? And that preparation involves routine, it involves practice. Our tactical teams have been practicing commingled with other tactical teams from other agencies for months leading up to this. It is to bring a familiarity and a level of competency to each other so that if there is something, we're equipped and we're ready to go.
We will be concentrated in the downtown Atlanta core, specifically throughout the city. Will you be on the Beltline? Will you be at MARTA stations?
I think you will see an enhanced law enforcement present throughout the city. Particularly, obviously, downtown is where the FIFA events are, so we will be there. But you will see a heavy law enforcement present because we want everyone to know it is safe. Come out, come enjoy, and have a good time.
I also want to talk.
All right, so there you have it. That is the FBI in Atlanta. Atlanta, obviously, one of the cities that will be hosting some of the matches with the FIFA World Cup that starts on June 11th. And they're talking about security, saying that they have been preparing for months, that they are ready, and they're going to make sure that downtown Atlanta is very safe. SWAT teams will be there, high level of visibility of law enforcement. They're trained and ready to respond, and they're actively working to disrupt any threats before they happen. And they said right now there are no known threats in the Atlanta area, but the threats will be taken very seriously, even the hoax threats. It is a federal crime to threaten such a large venue like that. That's going to be going on in several cities across the country. Okay, let's go to break now. We'll be right back. We're going to bring you the White House briefing, and I believe Scott Bessent is the one delivering the remarks today. We'll get right to that in just a moment. welcome back. Live Impact News. Let's go straight to the White House. There was a White House press briefing just a little while ago. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, the one delivering those remarks. We don't know if he's going to say something about an alleged ceasefire, extended ceasefire between Iran and the U.S. And so let's listen in.
Good. I'd like to say it's a pleasure to be here today. This is my warm-up for my Senate and House hearings next week, so I don't want anyone yelling, reclaim my time. So let's start out with Trump accounts. Trump accounts, I believe, are the most important benefit for young people since the GI Bill. Today, the app is now available on all major platforms, bringing the president's vision directly to American homes. Nearly 6 million American children have been signed up for Trump accounts, which will launch on July 4th. And I would encourage all of you to go to trumpaccount.gov to sign up. We had a historic tax filing season. We passed the largest tax cuts in American history. The average refund this filing season is nearly $3,300, an 11% increase from last year. And importantly, very importantly, 62 million returns, 44% claimed at least one of the president's signature tax cuts. No tax on tips, no tax on overtime. The reduced taxes on Social Security benefits. 85% of our seniors paid no taxes, and the auto deductibility on loans for American cars. And to remind everyone, Democrats, every Democrat voted against those programs. We've had sustained and resilient GDP growth. Real GDP has risen 2.6% over the past 4 quarters. Atlanta Fed's GDP now predicts 3.8% for this second quarter. The U.S. energy dominance, part of our resilience stems from our energy dominance. Natural gas is down, is my belief, and the futures market is showing us oil will be lower than pre-conflict levels. We are more resilient to energy price fluctuations due to President Trump's energy dominance and deregulatory agenda. The United States is now the world's largest energy exporter. The United States has never exported so much energy or produced so much energy. Main Street prosperity, the average 401k is up almost $30,000 since President Trump's inauguration. President Trump RX has already saved Americans over $600 million. I'm sure all of you will want to report on that. And the unemployment rate remains low at 4.3%. So with that, I'm happy to ask questions. I will mention that 3 weeks ago, I got an honorary degree from the University of South Carolina, so if you really want to get a question, you can call me Dr. Bessent. So,
I want to start with these Trump accounts. You know, there's a lot of people, a lot of working class Americans that maybe don't have the financial expertise when it comes to stock markets and investing in general. In what ways are you guys simplifying this for all those Americans so that it's not just for one class of people, but all Americans can have it?
Well, that's a great question, because 38% of Americans have no exposure to equities. They don't share in the great innovation, the machine that is the American economy, our great capital markets, which drives our prosperity. So if your child is born during President Trump's administration, Treasury puts in $1,000 as a seed investment. We've also created 6 learning pods, so you can go online to the app that went up today and learn. And I think that this is going to be, I've been a big proponent of financial literacy, and I think this is going to be one of the greatest real-time financial literacy educations in history, because it won't be, there's a street in New York called Wall Street. This is what I don't really understand what happens there. American family is going to be able to look on their phone every day and see, and I think it's going to drive people to try to understand what they've got here. I think we're going to create a generation of shareholders. So Ed?
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. I guess first, well, we're starting to see the disruption of the oil supply and through the Strait of Hormuz affect economic data. First, is there a deal on the table for a 60-day ceasefire to continue that? And then second, how fast could inflation then recede or retreat, or is inflation sticky because the PCE was at a 3-year high?
Well, first of all, PCE today, month over month, was 0.2, which was, we're looking at decimal points, but the estimate was 0.3. So 1 month doesn't a trend make. And what we've seen is actually oil prices are down about 10% in May. There are almost 2,000 ships waiting to come out of the Gulf. And I think the oil market is going to be very well supplied on the other side of this, and that we could see prices come down very quickly. We saw the UAE leave OPEC. So I would expect on the other side of this that gasoline prices will follow.
Is there an agreement on the table?
Sorry?
Is there an agreement with Iran on the table?
The teams have been going back and forth, and President Trump has made it very clear, he talked about it at the cabinet meeting, that he has several red lines. And Iran has to turn over their highly enriched uranium. They cannot pursue a nuclear weapon. And the Strait of Hormuz, back to your question on energy, has to free transit. Navigation of the seas has to be free and open as it was before. So he's not going to take a bad deal. He's going to make a great deal for the American people. So, Peter.
Thank you, Dr. Besson.
Yep.
How long until we see your signature next to President Trump's face on a $250 bill?
Well, again, as Treasury Secretary, I have 2 mandates for U.S. currency. At present, no living person can be on U.S. currency, and the currency must say, "In God we trust." So right now there is proposed legislation in front of the House, in front of the Senate, to change the first requirement so that a living person, Donald J. Trump, could be on the $250 bill. So it's all in the hands of the, it's all up on Capitol Hill. So at Treasury, we prepare things in advance. So we have prepared in advance that if the legislation is passed, but we will stick to the law.
And something that came up yesterday also at the cabinet meeting, President Trump said, Oman will behave just like everybody else, or we will have to blow them up. Are you guys back there in the West Wing making plans for a new war with Oman?
Again, I think the president wanted to punctuate freedom of navigation in the strait. I had a call with the Omani ambassador this morning, and he assured me that there were no plans for tolling the strait. As he said, our countries have had 200 years of good relations. He wants to have another 200 more. And I told him that this was a non-starter, and he did not want to risk either the Omani individuals or Omani financial institutions getting sanctioned.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Is it in the U.S. interest to waive some sanctions on Iran or to unfreeze some of their assets before Iran has made concrete promises about getting rid of their nuclear program?
Again, I'm not going to preview the deal, but I would think that the things would go very slowly in terms of that. So we'll see.
Just to follow up on that, because it's our understanding that the U.S. has committed to discussing the matter of sanctions relief during this negotiation period. So just to be clear, is sanctions relief for Iran on the table?
Again, it is a multifaceted agreement, and nothing is going to be on the table until we see the Strait of Hormuz open and the Iranians agree that they have to turn over the highly enriched uranium and that they can't have a nuclear program. And to be clear here, that this administration, President Trump, has done something that no other administration is able to do. We have gotten the Iranians to talk about their nuclear program and to perhaps commit to not having one. That has never happened before. It had been off the table. So I think when you look at the results of the kinetic action of our economic pressure, it has worked to bring them to the table and have a discussion on this.
I just want to follow up. You said that the teams have been going back.
They could go down. It's carrot and stick. Secretary Rubio doing a fantastic job of managing this process, and we at Treasury are working with him. So in the red.
Thank you.
Reagan Race with the Daily Caller. I want to ask you about Antifa. In October, the Treasury Department started working with the FBI to investigate who's funding Antifa. Can you give us an update on that investigation? How close are you guys to finding out who's funding Antifa?
It is ongoing. We made substantial progress, and I think in the weeks and months ahead, we're going to have a lot to report. One thing that did go the underreported that I would point out to all of you is the IRS is now giving guidance on the Form 990, which nonprofits they have to file. And we are going to encourage or demand that nonprofits know their grant recipients. So if a grant recipient is violent, if they are suppressing people's rights, then you are responsible for that. And I think that's a very good first step. Yep.
There's new government data that shows that Americans are now saving a smaller share of their incomes than at any time over the past 4 years. Are you seeing signs that American households are dipping into their savings to pay for the higher costs of things like gas and groceries? And does data like that concern you right now?
Well, so a lower academic literature would tell you a lower savings rate can mean one of two things. The doomer view that you took, or that people have more confidence, or it could be something else, because for instance stock market gains or 401k gains might not show up in savings, so they're looking at that, think that they can draw down their household savings.
You're obviously concerned about the risks posed by advanced AI models like Mythos to critical infrastructure. The financial sector is concerned as well. What types of changes are being considered to the AI executive order so it can pass? And do you believe that an AI executive order needs to include the pre-public access for government?
Again, we're working very closely with the large language labs. They've been excellent partners, and we are going to get a solution that solves for the maximum calculus. What we want to do, the U.S. is the AI leader in the world. We're an AI superpower. China is second. They are trailing substantially. We want to make sure that we keep that lead. So we are working on the exact calculus between innovation and safety, and we want to optimize for that. So you in the glasses? Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary.
Yep, in the glasses.
Thank you very much.
No, you don't have glasses on. You in the glasses.
Thank you for taking my question. There was a report this morning that Justice Alito's son is working in your department. Can you confirm that that's the case? And if so, do you believe that that means that he should be, that the justice should recuse himself from cases that involve your department?
I am sure that Mr. Alito follows all legal and ethical guidelines, and I can assure you that at Treasury we follow all the legal and ethical guidelines.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. I have two questions for you, but just to follow what you said about the
Well, you didn't call me
$250
doctor, so I only get one.
Well, I'll shoot for two. You said that it's up to Congress. The president's face is on a $250 bill, but it is actually the Washington Post that's reporting two political appointees from the Treasury Department who have asked agencies to be ready to do that. Do you think politically it's a good idea to put his face on a $250 bill when people are struggling to afford gas and groceries?
I don't really understand this Washington Post article. That who hears from the Post? Yep. Terribly written, terribly edited. Because basically what it says is that Treasury is following the law, and that we've created the bill, and that it's up to Congress, but that we follow the bill and it's up to. I didn't really understand what the story was.
So,
but anyway.
Appointees aren't involved in that, two of your political appointees?
Yeah, of course, but we prepare for everything if it gets passed. Just like we were ready 6 months in advance for the one big beautiful bill for tax guidance. So we have to prepare in advance. You can't draw something up the day before.
Politically, do you think it's a good idea though when people are struggling to afford gas and groceries?
Look, I think it has. I think that it's bifurcated. Do you think we should have a 250th anniversary, the celebration?
Well, that's happening anyway, but putting the president's face on a $250 bill is a choice.
But Caitlin, it's not happening anyway. It's happening because it's being funded by private citizens, by the federal government, by state governments, by municipal governments to celebrate our country. And I don't think that there's anything untoward about having the President of the United States the person who was president of the United States on the 250th anniversary bill.
On Russia sanctions, what you just commented on there, Mr. Secretary, about the $1.8 billion fund. Is it accurate that the General Counsel of the Treasury Department resigned over that?
I will not be taking any other questions, I will not be taking any other questions.
Wall Street over here.
So,
On the sanctions, sir, given the scale of the assault from Russia on Kyiv in recent days and the fact that diplomacy seems to have settled down, there is no diplomatic talks happening right now between Russia, Ukraine, or the U.S. What about sanctions? Is the U.S. considering sanctions on Russia at this time?
well, the U.S., this administration has put the hardest sanctions on Russia of any country. So let's review how the sanctions regime has gone since the Russian action on Ukraine. Biden administration put on what I would call mild sanctions because they were worried about gasoline prices going up into an election. It would be an unstatesmanlike sanctions. Probably the worst national security advisor in the history of the country, Jake Sullivan, in an act of bravery on his way out the door in January, raised the sanction level on behalf of the Trump administration. We let those in situ when we took office. Fast forward to October, and President Trump instructed me to sanction the two largest Russian oil companies, Lukoil and Rosneft, which we did. No other government has done that. So no one has done more sanctions than the Trump administration on Russian oil. Here, who wants to own this? Gray hair. No, gray hair. No, you don't have gray hair. Well, maybe you do.
When you had breakfast this morning with Fed Chair, did you request that the Fed lower interest rates?
I had breakfast with Chair Powell 41 times, and I never did that. Last question.
Thanks, sir. Governor Gavin Newsom has floated this idea of a 100% state tax on Californians who receive money from President Trump's anti-weaponization fund. Your response to the governor's call for 100% tax?
There's no cure for stupid. Okay. Thank you all.
Thank you.
All right, so that concludes the White House briefing held by Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, delivering the remarks today. Touched on a number of topics, starting off talking about the Trump accounts. He also talked about the economy and painting a fairly rosy picture of the economy, talking about with energy and the United States exporting more energy now than ever before. Did not say much about this alleged extension of a ceasefire deal between the U.S. and Iran. We were hearing that there is a potential deal on the table, but basically he kind of went to what we've been hearing over the past couple of weeks, a lot of back and forth, and the president having some red lines, including obviously the Strait of Hormuz being reopened. And also Iran not having a nuclear weapon and turning over their highly enriched uranium. A little bit of news coming out of that briefing, and we will probably have more on that coming up on our news later on today at 4, 5, and 6. We're going to take a break right now and be right back. right, welcome back. Women's rights leaders are holding a news conference right now in New York. Let's dip into that and find out what their concerns are.
E. Jean Carroll went through the court system. She did what every American has the right to do. A jury of 12 people in a civil court found Donald Trump liable for sexual abuse. And now at 82 years old, she has to worry about the full weight of the largest law enforcement division in the world coming after her. As women, we are outraged. As Americans, we are outraged. And we're here to call on Donald Trump to call off the Department of Justice, to not seek revenge on his enemies, his perceived enemies. We're here to tell E. Jean Carroll that we are with her, that we support her, and we will be with her each and every day through this. And we look forward to reestablishing a United States of America where things like this don't happen. Thank you. Okay. Okay, great. I'm going to introduce you to you next. Would you like to come? Judy Paulson?
Hi, I'm Judy Paulson. I am board chair of New York City Now. I'd like to mention a few things. I want to thank each of you for being here. I know that we could all be someplace else, but we chose to be here. Let me tell you a quick story. When I was a little girl, every school morning, I took the Pledge of Allegiance to my country, a country that stands for liberty and justice for all. I bet a lot of you took that pledge too. It is now time for our country to fulfill that pledge. That little girl does not understand how a convicted felon can be allowed to persecute the women who've survived his crimes. She cannot understand how our justice system can become weaponized against such felons. Now New York City stands with E. Jean Carroll. We will be with her at her side every day of this fight. We condemn the weaponization of the Department of Justice, and we call for equality and justice for all people. Thank you.
I'll just add, no American should fear that winning in court against a powerful official will make you a target of the government. We are in very dangerous territory here. ¿Y ahora en español? Okay. Oh, just in time for the rain here. Okay. Déjame ver si puedo hacer esto. Let me do the translation. Okay. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay, photos.
Take
photos.
your time. Take your time. Don't worry about it.
I'm gonna have to do it again. Why don't you, are you ready? Okay, good.
I'm Vanessa Aronson. I'm happy to lend my voice so that women around the country stop being silenced. I'm not happy that we have to continue doing this. We were just here just a few minutes ago talking about the past. About over a century ago, women were fighting to have a voice in our government, to be treated as equal. And here we are now in 2026, and once again, women are being silenced. This time by the very government that's supposed to be protecting us. So I am here to do whatever it takes. We will raise our voice. We will keep showing up. Again, we just had or learned about a story of over 100 years ago where women knew that in order to make progress, everyday people, ordinary people, had to refuse to give up, and that's what we're doing here today. So I call on the U.S. government, I call on everyone who has a voice, our elected officials. I'm so grateful to be standing here with NOW to end this silencing of women for corruption, for the highest levels of power to take advantage of the fact that women's voices have been silenced since the beginning of time, and we will no longer stand it. Oh, Vanessa Aronson. So I am the Democratic nominee for the 73rd Assembly District on the east side of Manhattan.
Español. Estamos aquí para condenar la apertura por parte del Departamento de Justicia de una investigación penal contra la escritora E. Jean Carroll, calificándola como un abuso profundamente alarmante del poder fiscal y el ejemplo más reciente de la campaña de intimidación de Donald Trump contra sus enemigos.
Has anyone talked to Ms. Carroll?
We haven't. Someone was coming who was going to speak on Alva? Yes. Okay, great. Oh, so we have another speaker that you definitely want to hear from. Hi, Alex. So I'll let you introduce yourself.
Okay. I'm Alva Johnson. I am a Trump survivor, a campaign manager for survivors, and I stand here in solidarity with my sister. I stand here in solidarity with all 28, the other 27 of us who have been intimidated and silenced by this government and by the sitting president. Call your elected officials. Let them know that what is happening is not right. It starts at one place and it will continue on in so many different areas. And so we have come too far to go back now. And so call your elected officials, tell them to drop this sham of revenge against an 82-year-old warrior woman who only stood up for herself. And just understand that standing up for yourself sometimes hits you with silence and retribution. But for the 27 of my other sisters who so proudly and so bravely spoke out against him, we warned you before he was elected. Many of us warned you before he was reelected. And now we knew that retribution would come. And so we stand in solidarity with E. Jean, our sister, and call your elected officials and tell them to drop this sham of an investigation. Thank you.
No, they just launched investigation. I think that's all. You need anything else? Do you think you got it? You got enough? You got everything you need?
Yeah.
Good.
All right, news conference in New York, and these were women supporting E. Jean Carroll. So what is this about? E. Jean Carroll, the DOJ has opened up an investigation into E. Jean Carroll, accusing her of perjury. She is the woman who accused Donald Trump of sexually abusing her. So in 2023, Donald Trump was found liable for sexually abusing E. Jean Carroll, and the jury awarded her $5 million. The following year, after Donald Trump attacked her on social media, a jury awarded E. Jean Carroll another $83.3 million in a defamation case, just based on what Donald Trump posted on social media. And so now that he is president again, one of the people that he is deciding to investigate is E. Jean Carroll. So the DOJ has opened up an investigation into her, and these are women in New York City who are obviously speaking out in support of E. Jean Carroll and hoping that people will step up and ask the government to drop this case. All right. Let's go to the other side of the country, to California. Governor Gavin Newsom, he signed legislation that aims to shield California elections from federal interference. It is his fear that the Trump administration may meddle in the elections coming up for the midterms and maybe in 2028. So let's listen to what he had to say about this issue and the legislation that he signed.
First, good bill to sign in the basis of two things. One, it goes in effect immediately upon my signature, number one. So in many ways, it addresses some of the anxieties around next Tuesday's election. So it's in that spirit that I'm signing this, sober about what we're up against, sober about the fact that acolytes for the Trump administration are actively encouraging ICE to go out, just as ICE did on Election Day last November. The BORTAC teams, Border Patrol and ICE, the morning of the election last November, big press conference near Dodger Stadium to intimidate free expression and vote. All of these are consistent with the phone call, the origin story here that he made to Greg Abbott, saying he's entitled to 5 seats in an effort to rig the election before one vote is cast before November. And we're seeing that played out all across this country now after the Supreme Court decision on the Voting Rights Act, Section 2, and none more galling and outrageous than what Governor Landry did and is doing in Louisiana, where he suspended an election that was already underway, where tens of thousands of voters had already voted, suspended the election by declaring an emergency for the intended purpose of eliminating black representation. That's why this is needed, and I'm very grateful for the leadership of all of you, and honored to sign this important legislation, which now officially goes in effect right when you submit to this to the Secretary of State, actually. So thank you, guys. Thank you. As I say about Trump all the time, he's an invasive species. We've never been up against something like this. And he's just winding up. I mean, he doesn't believe in fair and free elections. He believes in competitive authoritarianism. He wants an outcome along the lines of Putin, 87.3% to 4.3%. That's a fair and free election from Trump's perspective. And he's become so delusional that I think he's almost starting to believe in his own BS. It's the panoply of everything. He's desperate. His back's against the wall. And when you're desperate and your back's against the wall, you're prone to do anything. And so he is just winding up.
All right, Gavin Newsom signing legislation to ward off any federal interference in the elections. Really quick, let's show you some pictures out of Dallas because it's time for us to go, but these pictures are just so unbelievable. This is a gas leak at a building in Oak Cliff in downtown Dallas. It led to a loud explosion and a fire, smoke from the blaze visible in nearby areas. Apparently, the explosion happened at an apartment building, and then the fire broke out soon after, and it's unclear right now whether or not there are any injuries, but some pretty dramatic pictures there that's coming out of Dallas. And again, this is a gas leak and an explosion, so something that's going to be obviously an active scene for some time to come. All right, that wraps us up this afternoon for Live Impact News. Thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully you learned something today. Coming up at 4, we have 13 News Now at 4, and again at 5 and 6 o'clock, and then another streaming show coming up at 6:30 as well. So thank you so much. Have a good afternoon, and I'll see you tomorrow.